Hello again, ladies and gentlemen. I'm back for just a little extra podcast tag on. I seem to have completely forgotten to talk about Executor this month. I don't know why I completely forgot about it, but I think there was just so many that I'd done this month that it kind of slipped my mind. But yeah, so I'm just going to do a quick catch up and kind of talk through this. It's not going to be a long one. But for anyone who might have been super upset that I missed out Executor, I'm going to cover it now. So basically, when I was thinking about Executor, the general assumption about it is that it's a palm tree, which is kind of loosely the direction that I went down. The only main issue about it was mainly the leaves. Executor's original anime depiction, it's just got these big, flat, spiky leaves, which real palm trees don't actually have, especially coconut trees. They have more sort of fern-like or frond-like leaves. So when I was kind of designing it, I was just like, okay, well now I'm going to imagine these as like really thick, robust, sort of sharp-ish leaves, kind of desert-like, just kind of make them kind of thick and lush, a little bit more like I don't know, something like aloe vera or something like that, but a lot tougher than that. I also looked at the trunks, and with a lot of palm trees they have it so that the way that they grow is that their leaves grow out and then they snap off, they grow more over the top. So the trunks, you know, the tall trunks that we see are generally made up of lots and lots of parts of branches where the leaves are snapped off. That was something that I considered, but I think because it has such a solid silhouette, it didn't really work for me. Like, it would have just made it look spiky, and that's not really what I wanted to go for. So I looked at kind of lots of different types of plants, especially kind of like short, stubby desert plants that have kind of more of a rough bark to them, and I went through and did that and created these textures using alphas that I kind of took from palm trees and the like. But then when I got it onto the clay, or the digital clay, it didn't really kind of work. So I went in and did a lot of hand sculpting in there, just to kind of get this kind of unique, rough, dry looking bark. And when it came to doing the heads, I actually took the models from my Execute. God, I can't say it. Execute. And decided to re-sculpt that. I think it didn't dawn on me at first about how different they are. It went like between the two, because Executor has very like quite happy faces on them, whereas Execute doesn't. It's quite aggressive looking Pokemon. Because this is a plant, and it's not, there's nothing really that we can directly relate it to, because no plants in our world have faces or eyes or mouths or anything like that. So it was just kind of about how can I make this look like it's kind of like an imitation plant. And there are plants out there that kind of look like other things. You can actually see a lot of flowers that are a bit like that. But I took the original concept that I had of Execute being a carnivorous plant and kind of brought it into this one as well, in the kind of idea that slowly, as maybe the midday sun comes in, the mouths slowly open and release this really pungent, probably disgusting smelling pollen or odour to attract lots of insects and whatnot. And when they fly in, they get stuck in like a sticky sap and get digested. The eyes, I know that the originals have like these big wide white eyes, but it just didn't really kind of fit. It would have felt very cartoony, very kind of out of place for the plant itself. So I kind of went more for these sort of like grooves in their faces. You know, some people might not like them that much, but I think they worked. I thought they kind of came off quite well. And from a distance, it's kind of hard to see the detail. But what I did, I used cantaloupe textures for the surface of the heads, because coconuts just weren't the right colour. They were, didn't have the kind of the right shape. So I went for more of like a cantaloupe kind of thing, which I think the texture worked out well. If you ever get a chance to kind of get a print or something and see the textures really up close, then you'll know what I'm talking about. Overall, I was really happy with this. I think a few people said, "Oh, it looks quite small." It's quite difficult with a lot of my pictures. Because plants can come in a variety of sizes. So in my head, I'm looking at these plants and going, okay, these are really large plants, that works, that's fine. But another person might look at it and go, oh, those are like really tiny plants, which means that this must be a really, really tiny Pokemon. So it's kind of difficult, and I can't, a few people say, oh, can you put things in for size reference? Again, plants don't really work because people's minds don't associate necessarily with it. Same with like some of the creatures that I put in forests. A lot of these forests I have in mind are these really big trees, and then somebody might look at it and be like, oh, this is a really tiny Pokemon because those trees are normal size. So that I can't really kind of put anything in terms of size. I don't like to put in other Pokemon because the focus is supposed to be on that Pokemon. And also, they're supposed to be in the wild, so I don't really like to put people into the picture unless it's kind of like a specifically designed picture that is supposed to show off their size. Like this is a size comparison, like I did with the female Venusaur. So Exeggutor's size isn't actually that big, and though I do kind of tease the sizes and change the sizes, this one I kind of saw as being relatively short, because these desert-like plants and stuff that I had looked at are relatively short and stumpy, and it seemed that it would work in that respect, especially as a lowland Exeggutor is so incredibly tall, like an actual palm tree. It kind of made sense for this to be quite short and stumpy. So yeah, as I said, there's not really many ways that I could kind of put things in to show off the size in any other way. But overall, I was really happy with it, and it was received very, very well as well. So I was very, very happy with that. The last thing that I'll say about it is, in terms of like the claws and the teeth, they're one of those things that like they don't really make any sense, but you just kind of got to go with it. I said in the description that the claws on the feet are actually roots, and that they kind of dig them into the ground to absorb nutrients, so that kind of made sense for me. And maybe you could say that the teeth are a way of like scaring off predators and stuff like that, just to kind of make it look a little bit more menacing, but they don't actually have a real purpose. Obviously these are battling Pokemon, so maybe they do kind of use them, but I kind of see the plant ones as not really having really active biting teeth, if that makes sense. It's more to do with their plant abilities. And the final thing I'll say actually is that the Exeggutor, they have these kind of rings that go around their knees and around their middle. I originally thought we'll maybe make them into grooves, or even have them as kind of like where some roughage is coming out. And I tried that in the modelling process, but it didn't quite work for me. So I decided to go back and make them into kind of like more like patterns on the trunk. And we see, especially with a lot of trees and stuff like that, they do have different sort of patterns on them, so it's not unheard of. But yeah, overall really happy with this. I hope you liked it too, and I'm sorry I missed it out on the first one, but hopefully this little segment will make up for it. But yeah, everyone, I hope you are keeping safe, keep well, and I'll see you next time.